Feel bad about it. Oh, are we on? Sorry, you're having a personal conversation here on the side. This is Jack van Blerk from South Africa, referee of the tournament and ex-coach. Joining here by Lewis from the Great Britain.
Hello, Jack. And I was going to say it was formerly Coach Jack, now referee Jack.
Yeah, very interesting change, different dynamic to the sport. Also, it helps you to understand the sport much better. Right, welcome here in the Steel City at the Ponds Forge International Sports Centre for this match between South Africa, GB, U24s as they call it here. We say under 24s, and it's match 91 in the ladies division.
So underway, both these teams unable to move the puck into opposition territory as it goes over to in the neutral area to the barrier far side, well, near side wall to the subs areas. GB making a good positive drive, but now nobody down for GB as South Africa begin to come away, but a stoppage.
South Africa in the yellowy greenish costumes and Great Britain in the black costumes, for those who are not sure which team is which team.
Liv Daw getting down to take the puck, the big flick forward by the GB centre.
Okay, South Africa doing their very best here to clean the puck out and move it away from the goals. Succeeding in it, driving it this to the corner, but the referees has seen an infringement against GB illegally advancing the puck there, and South Africa have an opportunity to relieve the pressure here right inside their own third of the pool in front of their sub boxes. Very interesting fact about Sheffield. Sheffield is the greenest city in Europe. There is apparently 4 trees for every single human being in Sheffield. The city also has about 250 parks, woodland areas, gardens, including the Crooks Park, Norfolk, Heritage Park, and the Botanical Gardens.
Yeah,
quite a mouthful.
Yeah, this is all news to a lot of people from underwater hockey in GB as well, because most people just come to Sheffield and they know that Ponds Forge exists, and there's a few restaurants where they go and eat at the end of a tournament, but there's you don't get a lot of chance to come and see the city when you visit Sheffield. It's always spend the day in the bottom of a swimming pool. South Africa with a good drive, nobody between the South African forward and the goal. Luckily the GB player gets down and in the way, but it looks like South Africa converted here, Jack.
South Africa persisting there, staying on the bottom, not giving up in that D area. It is very important when you are behind the puck and you want to score a goal. There's no time for breathing.
No goal though, signalled by the referees.
Unfortunately,
the puck is placed on the 5 metre line, so a let off there by GB. I think illegal use of the glove.
Most players make the mistake when the puck is on the right hand side wall and it's your natural hand. They don't swap the stick over to the wall side and forget, sometimes instinctively just push the puck with a glove and only afterwards realize their mistake. Something they can practice at home.
Yeah, it's something that always needs constant work, because it's so annoying and frustrating to watch teams come so close and then just because obviously the word is there's no attempt to play the puck legally, because
yes.
if it's fine and then the defender puts it on the wall and it touches your glove, the referee will watch and say you need to move your glove now, and if you don't make that obvious attempt to play the puck, then all that's going to happen is you're going to get pushed 8 metres away from the goal and the other team's going to gain possession of the puck on their 5 metre line. But
yes,
GB breaking now at speed. They're not going to make it to the goal unless that flick's gone in, and it's a beautiful little flick. So the South Africans stopped them first time round, but then the flick was hit at the right time, and it's a goal given to number 5. And this is really annoying for me because it's the hardest name to pronounce in the team. It's Emily McKeown.
Emily McKeown. Well, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, so even after I announced it, I had 4 different answers from people in the commentary booth. So I'll just call her Emily Mack.
Very competitive game from one side to the other side. The difference is Great Britain turning their opportunity into points, whereas South Africa couldn't do it. As Great Britain immediately from the kickoff trying to control the puck here in the middle, but South Africa strong swim there from, I didn't see the number there.
Lissa Oates has a chance to come down the middle. She flicks the puck wide right and she's giving it to her halfback. Play moving down the far side wall. And a nice swim into the centre from GB. Where's the support? There's the support, and it's going to be a nice drive. Finished off. Is that Ellie Shelley or Liv Daw? Let's see. It's, well, both of them were around the puck. We'll see which one it's awarded to.
A very good drive there by Great Britain. South Africa a bit slow to get some numbers there behind the puck. And unfortunately, if your body is not pointing in the opposite direction, it's very difficult to stop the puck unless you steal it. Olivia Daw from Great Britain scoring that goal, number 7. And Great Britain, after 5.5 minutes in this game, leading 2-0. South Africa's coach calling for a timeout. She's there in front of her players, and she's right here in front of us here in the media room, and having some very stern words with them. I think the players sometimes relax a bit and they don't focus, and if that happens, you know, the opposition sometimes just switch on and it happens for them. And unfortunately for South Africa, unfortunately for Britain, that is what happened.
So a quick look at the under-24 women's table is New Zealand top it with 18 points, and everybody else sort of fighting for second and trying to avoid fourth place and having to play the fifth place Colombians at the moment, and then possibly go on to face New Zealand. So France and South Africa sitting just above Great Britain. Some of these games going in a very roundabout fashion because the draw that GB had against the French. They lost to South Africa, and I can't remember what the score was between the South African women and the French women. We'll have a look at that later, but some very interesting scores which are making this a really interesting group.
Yeah, it's all to play for. Yeah, it's not that you're just going to take it easy and play into get yourself in a good position in the playoffs. Every match counts, and that's what makes it so exciting in this group.
We'd like to say that we're really happy that we've got the camera tracking system back up and running. We're just pausing it for a moment as we just tighten up the slack in the line so we can make sure we have effective running throughout the day. We don't want to put too much through the system and have to suspend the tracking motions all day. And it's real credit to the volunteers team that assist me here with all the camera operations and things. We've got Gary Alexander, Damien McNulty, and one of the referees, John Beddoe, who stay behind at the end of the day. We look at the problems that we've accumulated through the day and try and come up with these fixes. The camera tracking system lowered a little bit so that we can hopefully track faster and more effectively throughout the day, because we were breaking some components within the camera system. And so far so good, I think, Jack.
Yes, it's fantastic. The clarity of the water makes it just so much easier. Even though the cameras are static, everybody around the world can still see to the other side of the pool, and that helps a lot. South Africa again with a free puck, opting to drive right straight into the bait ball, and GB the first time around cleared it out very nicely. South Africa now opportunity there with a player with an open goal in front of her. Can she finish it? And she surely did. South Africa coming back strongly, getting a second opportunity, but the referee indicated that somehow the puck was illegally advanced by the glove into the goal, and therefore a free puck to Great Britain.
Yeah, the second time the South Africans have got to that stage and not been able to convert. As Liv Daw flicks it out to Ellie Shelley, Team DJ on the right hand side. Maddie Walker from the Orkney Islands on the left hand wall for GB. South Africa have done a good job stopping the play from coming down their right hand side. play.
So the referees have got very nice shirts, Lewis.
Yeah, they've got a sponsored by Bentfish Design, and it's nice that you can clearly identify the referees that are in the water. It helps the referees for their feedback. I think that you know who you're working with, and it's clear who's in what position. And it's always nice for the referees to have something that they can remember the tournament by, rather than just a plain shirt. I mean, the ones that we had in Quebec were quite nice. They stretched quite quickly, but that's just a factor with a lot of these things. And a good stop on the goal by Alyssa Oates first time round, but the second time and the follow-up put him by the South Africans, just unable to clear it off the goal tray, and this time they do convert, and it's number 12 for South Africa with the goal, Jack.
Yes, a fantastic drive there by Eleanor to make the deficit only one goal again. South Africa listening to what their coach has told them, and applying some pressure there on the GB goals, and eventually it paid off and they scored the goal. Yes, for those who don't know, there are 3 referees in the water, indicated by the yellow vest they're wearing and the bright gloves. 3 of them rotating in a triangular formation around the play. Whenever they see a mistake, they give a signal to the chief referee who's standing outside the play, and then he will press a button, and that's that annoying sound that you hear occasionally, which indicates to the players that they have to stop, that there was a foul. Great Britain slowly driving up the wall here, with South Africa intercepting and breaking away. It looks like Ilana driving there to the side, following up here Scalista, number 6, and trying to stop that counter from GB. And then it is number 7 here from South Africa, Kiandra, trying to stop them, and Eleanor again in there in the mix, looking for a teammate, creating some space, holding, slowing it down, and then driving it again, not passing, and then an inside flick under the body. One of the players driving again forward with a flick towards the goal, but Great Britain able to intercept that pass and take it into the corner and slow the game down. South Africa breaking out there with a short flick, and with all that persistence paying off, keep the pressure, applying the pressure all the time, even though Great Britain cycled it away there in front of the goal. South Africa got it back, and it looks like Roxanne Cronje, number 5 from South Africa, put a goal back on the board, and the game at the moment is 2-2. While the black team, Great Britain, is calling a timeout. Thank you very much to our sponsors: Euro Options, Talk, Bentfish Design, Howard Timber and Building Supplies, SIV, British Octopus Association, the Nottingham Building Society, MyZone, Cool Graphics, NASUWT, the Teachers Union, SIG, Peppersmith, Navision, and Booker Macro. All these sponsors adds value to the tournament and make it possible for you to see everything back at home. Another interesting fact about Sheffield is that it was already inhabited since approximately 9000 BC. I'm not sure if Julius Malema will contest that factor to say that he was already in Africa before then, but I think that would be a debate for another time, Lewis.
Big push through there by Emily as she tries to go further through. Emily Mack. And here's the chase by Zoe Hyam. She's going to have a lot to do to catch up, and it's Liv Dorr who made the chase, and she got back effectively. Can tell by the fins now I looked. And I've been given the head nod by Chief Diver here, Damien McNulty, that I can once again track the camera, and I can already see it's a far better response to the move as the puck's cleared there by Fiona Maynard.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is absolutely wonderful. It feels almost like you in the game. For those people who's never ever seen underwater hockey and don't know what it looks like or feels like, this would give you really a very good idea, like you're a player at the back supporting his forwards with his view of this game. And also fantastic skills there on the joystick, Lewis.
No, well, I got my practice in during the Quebec Worlds, and it's trying to remember things like you don't need to go right on top of the play. Sometimes it's better to be either in front or behind it because you see far more of the game, and the formations of the players as they're lining up. Like you see here, if you're right over the top, you can look down at where the puck is, but there's so much more happening off the puck, which is so important to the game, like the rotation, seeing the players waiting mid-water, the way that you see players getting down in between the lines ready to back tackle, but now a big swim
South
down
Africa
the back wall.
And down, but I also don't think
yeah,
from my
I think
side
it's going to be another gloving.
Going to be allowed, as I saw a glove up the wall there.
Yeah.
Reffing at this tournament has sharpened my senses to all these little nigglies that people try and get away with. Once again, like I mentioned, turn your stick around so the stickfish faces the wall and push it up into the goals. Don't use your glove. Great Britain having the opportunity to break out here from their own half, but South Africa intercept the puck there, and a very nice pull back and change direction. I think it could be Eleanor doing all that hard work, staying on the bottom, still staying on the bottom, and Great Britain intercepting that puck and just taking it back to the corner, slowing it down and regrouping their attack. But South Africa stealing it off the stick of the Great Britain player there and gets forced back into that corner.
All that movement gained by a lovely piece of skill by one of the players too far away to be able to identify. She just dropped the puck back to her hip as if she was almost going to turn, and it's Zoe Hyam who jumps in there again. We saw her jump in on a challenge against Argentina earlier in the week, and she just went straight past her, and by the time she turned around to see, where are you, can I catch you, she'd long gone. And that, sometimes it's just the simplest of the skills. You don't need to do any amazing work. It's just drop it back to your hip, now put it back in front of you, and you've just beaten a player because they've done exactly what Zoe Hyam's done. See the puck, I'm going to hit you, and then it's like see you later.
Yeah, Great Britain slowly driving forward now. It's a tic-tac game, win, lose the puck, and it's a hard battle there. South Africa trying to open it up. Eleanor with a nice backstick flick there to change direction, but back to the wall and still on the bottom, almost getting the puck away there to a player. GB intercepting the puck, and with that, 2-2 and 15 minutes of play gone. Both teams equally at 1 goal each. Great Britain scoring the first 2 goals. First one was by Olivia Dorr and Emily McCone, and then South Africa scored a goal through Eleanor de Kock and Roxanne Cronje.
So we'll take a break because I know Jack's already mentioned the sponsors once during these games. So we'll turn off the overlay and we'll talk a little bit more in depth about the table, which has been popping up. And so in the under-24 women's division, as we've said earlier, New Zealand 18 points, 6 out of 6 wins. They're not untouchable. We've finished the first round of this double round robin. Technically a home and away match for every team. New Zealand, a lot of the scorelines were close. GB only lost by 1 goal. I can't remember the South Africa score. I'll look at both sets of scores during the timeouts later. But then you see 3 points just separate 4 of the teams. If GB were able to get the winner against France, they'd be up there. They'd be second in the group. So it really is so close. As you see that Great Britain and South Africa have 3-2-1 in terms of the points. South Africa ahead on the goals against tally and the initial head-to-head. If GB were to win this match, they would, however, remain in 4th unless they scored a significant amount of goals. Oh no, sorry, they would go ahead of South Africa because they'd go on to 13 points. But if South Africa levelled it up with them, they wouldn't be far behind with the goals against.
Colombia's won their game against the Netherlands just now, so that means that Colombia's already moved up past all South Africa and Great Britain.
Yeah, so it's just it really just does show that it's all to play for, because it must have been Colombia and South Africa's women that drew against each other, because I know the GB under 24 women drew with the French in this division. So just interesting that you've got some near identical records, and you know what, that And you know what, Jack? That might not be right, because if you look at the tally of the games, the Colombians have already got 7 results on there. So because they've played seven results, and so have the Netherlands, it's already in there. So New Zealand won't climb any higher there. No. They've just caught up to everybody, and it's really everybody else. And I think everybody's, GB managed to beat them. GB managed to beat them yesterday. I reckon they'll do so again. But it is trying to make you have the best possible route to the final. And if these teams don't catch New Zealand, there's not much of a difference between second and third place in terms of, Argentina and the Netherlands. They're both good teams that are here. I don't think there's any preference as to which one either of the teams would like, because they both have, very different styles of game. And, I mean, it will be very interesting to see.
Yeah, they've got a real contest. It's not like it's going to be easy. You have to really play, and the harder you play in the tournament, the better you set yourself up for the playoffs. So you can't wait and wait for the playoffs to give you your utmost best. It has already started in this league here.
Both under 24s divisions are incredibly close. Because, as I say, even though the table shows New Zealand way up top and seemingly clear of other teams in the group, they're not winning some of these games against GB and co comfortably, as South Africa now having another attack and trying to convert and do the double over this Great Britain team, as Zoe Hyam.
Well, South Africa
clears.
Somehow getting the puck there off the wall, but get driven back to the corner. South Africa wonderfully have got numbers on the bottom, and GB able to get that puck away from the goals very quickly back into the corner. South Africa's got somebody in there trying to slow it down. Got a player there trying to steal it off the wall, and driving it back straight to the wall where GB can take it to the corner. And referees have seen an infringement, and the infringement is against GB. South African applying pressure, forcing Great Britain to make mistakes. Most of the times during this tournament, when I've watched games and commentated, I've really seen that once a team starts applying pressure, the other team usually makes a lot of mistakes. And it is Helen here driving, not losing the puck, making sure she gets it back, flicks it inside, unfortunately right onto a GB stick. GB lucky to get it. Number 7 GB pushing it forward.
Olivia Dorr.
And unfortunately there is another mistake there by GB, and South Africa yet another opportunity to get an advantage puck. Right on the corner of the 5-2, 5 meters from the wall, 2 meters from the sidewall. Driving it right straight forward into the bait ball is Callista, and Eleanor here right on the side slowing it down. Helen blocking vice captain of South Africa the puck, but unfortunately for her, Great Britain with a nice move there, cleaning the puck off the wall and swimming it back to the wall, driving it forward, now applying pressure on South Africa. And Great Britain with numbers coming in from behind on the bottom. Very important, good lesson to learn here is that when you attack, make sure that you always have somebody right there behind you. And like I've said just a bit earlier, once you apply the pressure, the opposition team will start making mistakes. And now South Africa on the other side of the field have got an advantage puck against them.
A really great wall drive there by the Great Britain team, and it really did a good job, because it's been all South Africa in the opening stages of the second half, and since South Africa got their first goal, it's really been a dominant display by South Africa. And in comes Zoe Hyam there, the inside flick to try and get the puck down the back wall. It's been forced under, and now South Africa clear to the corner, forced in there by the GB forward. And is this going to be a stick foul? No, an obstruction call, and they're trying to identify number 12 for obstruction, and it's going to be a 6-on-5 power play, the first sending out of the game, and GB are going to have the advantage here with the puck and the numbers.
Eleanor Cook, South Africa, out there for a bit of blocking, and South Africa swimming right across the goal there. It looks like Was it Helen or was it Callista? Cleaning out the puck there, passing
Good.
it to the inside, putting themselves under pressure there. And Great Britain utilising on that mistake of South Africa and driving it right into the goals.
Yeah, great drive there by the player who was in the corner. The flick, being a right-handed player, the flick sort of curled out of the way of the goal tray, but it also evaded the South African stick as they came down to defend. And beautiful placement by Liv Daw. She saw the puck was out to the wrong side. She turned her back. She used the inside of the back to push it in. And sometimes you see a lot of players turn their sticks when they're on the side or they're on the back wall, so that they can they can use their body more to push through rather than just using their arm when their puck's on the front of the stick.
3-2 to Great Britain, with a third of the game in the second half finished as we enter the last 2/3 of the second half with just under 10 minutes to go as the players are driving there towards the wall. The thing that I've seen a lot in this tournament now is players just swimming straight into the wall, trying to stop the puck right there, and many times there's opportunities to actually swim and create space.
There is. I know GB do that a lot, especially when it's on the same side as their subs. And not to give too much away, but I think it is a good opportunity when you put it there. Your team know it's like, right, the puck is safe, I can breathe. Or if you're in the right location, it's I can sub, and then you can design tactics around that whole stoppage of the play. Just resetting everything. And you've seen GB in the South Africa game before. You see Eleanor Shelley, number 13. The play gets under there, it gets reset. Ellie Shelley comes down, and in one breath she comes down, she sees the South African curl off the wall, and then she comes out, she puts in a big hit on the puck, really clean, and then she swims on an arch, exactly from this position. And she swims on an arch, turns the corner, nobody's going to stop Ellie Shelley once she gets going. And, I don't sometimes don't get it when you're on the far side, especially when, you're so far from your subs bin and you're blowing, and, teams will have that desire to get there. Apologies for not switching the camera faster.
Yeah, well, still very good camera work, I must say, from being an amateur, but I think you young guys are used to all these TV games and joysticks and stuff, so your fingers are naturally used to the motion to move and adjust.
Yeah, and in some ways, I wish we could figure out a system here at Navision to be able to put all the controls on there, to be able to switch cameras with, the buttons that are on this controller as well, because it's the fact that I always get to see the underwater camera, so I can position it for each shot, and then I forget to look across at where the program is to be able to say, oh, this is where the camera is. So
maybe we should think of putting a chip in the puck that has got a sensor, and the camera can track the sensor all the time. It'll save you the time and effort to multitask like you're doing, because currently you're commentating, you're switching buttons, you're doing some other administration on the side, quite a lot. We really appreciate all the volunteers here at the tournament. Really a big thank you from everybody in South Africa for all the hard work you guys have put in here. It's really, really amazing to see the effort that's been put in. And on that, another interesting fact about Sheffield, they claim that the longest ever rainbow visible in the history was in Steel City for 6 hours in March 1494. Can you believe it? A 6-hour rainbow.
Somebody's got to have that as a job, don't they? Somebody's got to. What do you do? I spot rainbows coming up in the sky, and I sit there. I get my stopwatch out. I time them, and then when it's dipped past a certain level, I see, and then I get excited. If it lasts longer than an hour, and then I'm still waiting for some part of the world to beat that record.
Commentators for B.
Well, Great Britain driving there in South Africa, just regaining possession, stealing the puck, going one direction, stealing, and then changing direction. But Great Britain again coming down there, and South Africa not expecting the player there, pushing it back and slowing it down, giving their team the opportunity to substitute there. But Great Britain driving straight over the wall, and South Africa, it's a very good steal. They lose control of the puck on the way to the corner, but regaining possession, and South Africa want to get out of this position, being 3-2 down with almost just over 5.5 minutes to go in the second half.
Beautiful synchronicity between the GB team there, as one player turns and the player who saw her turn knew exactly where she was going to release the puck, and she comes off on the 45. A good stop by South Africa defence, but great to see. This it's possibly one of the closest under 24 teams that we've seen. The characters in the group, two coming up from the under 19s, one that's only played hockey for 3 years, others like more experienced players, and one that's only been with us in the system for 2 years. And it's just so great that all these girls, it's such a welcoming atmosphere in the under 24s team. They're able to inspire each other and motivate each other, even when you have these close losses, the 1 goals, which can be sometimes really demoralizing for teams in the in the sense that they were so close to getting something out of the game, but they go away with nothing. They're really good at picking themselves up. Nobody's head hangs low. They say, come on, look, we had a great game, we can come back next time. It's not the end of our tournament just because we lost this one game. There's plenty of hockey to come, and when we get to the Thursdays and the Fridays of this tournament, knockout hockey changed the entire complexity of everything that happens in the water. It's like a new tournament's just begun. You don't get anything for being top of the round robin.
No, you only win when that final whistle blows and the score is in your favour.
So we'll take a look now at some scores which went in favour. Liv Daw is sent to the sin bin. She's going to spend a minute there, and GB are going to have to do their best to survive without her and try and hold on to this 1 goal lead. So going through the fixtures, we have the opening fixture, great statement by Georgie Lamble's team. Georgie Lamble, known as Jen's mate in the pool, and popular figure. She did a great job of saying, we're going into this game, it's New Zealand, don't fear the Kiwis, go out, attack them, and a 5-4 scoreline, the same score as was the overtime result in the Women's Elite Final in Quebec City. And then, some convincing performances over the Dutch and the Argentines, the 3-3 draw with France we've already spoke about, and then the 3-1 win over Colombia yesterday, and the reverse fixture here of the South Africa game was obviously 4-2 to South Africa, and you never know, we might see the scoreline completely change and cancel each other out in the in the round robin, because the next goal, if GB get it, it's almost putting the game out of distance when you think about 30 seconds off for a goal and time to reset.
The next goal will be very important for both teams. A goal for Great Britain will most probably secure them this match. South Africa would be able to draw this match, which would put them in a better position than Great Britain. And yes, South Africa winning the first game against GB 4-2. GB obviously went back home, did a bit of homework on South Africa, and is applying all the knowledge that they've gained from the first match to this game, and most probably that is why they lead at the moment. But South Africa here with a wonderful drive. Helen coming through there, just missing the puck. Eleanor back in the pool with a nice jing. South Africa, nice underhand push there. Get the puck through to a player, and a definite goal to South Africa, which make it very interesting. 3 minutes to go, 3 goals all to play for in the last 3 minutes.
Yeah, that was a fantastic drive by South Africa, making the most of the strong central player Olivia Daw being out of the water. She just got back in just as the goal was scored, and you just saw South Africa, the puck was moving out wide, and rather than thinking, I need to keep hold of the puck, I need to keep swimming, she curls, she does a little layoff pass into the middle, and through came the supporting player, and then Liz van Rijn finishing it off. A very well put together move by South Africa, which I'm sure they will have practiced from advantage pucks in that situation.
This is what I have. You can just ask him who's the third person.
Liz van Rijn with the third goal.
Yeah, from Great Britain, who scored the third goal of Great Britain. I didn't noted it down here. Lisa, that got an injury yesterday that they had to help her out of the pool. Seems to me that everything is under control now with the shoulder again. They've looked at it, and she's back in the water and she can play. A massive flick there by number 7 of GB.
Yeah, Liv Daw Absolutely fantastic, and nice swim onto the corner of the goal. Female out with a chance, and she's just forced wide. Oh, so close for GB. If they can spend the time down here to see out the game, they may just yet get the winning goal. And within the last 90 seconds of a match, a perfect time to score as you take 30 seconds to get back to your own end and the clock's running out. South Africa need to just possibly control the game. At this point, they're saying a draw is good enough. Let's make sure we're disciplined. Let's keep hold of the puck. Try and draw GB into a foul, and GB need to be disciplined themselves. Giving away a foul or a loose possession of the puck could allow South Africa to break and be through on their goal. South Africa in possession, facing their own goal. Now they come forward. Chance for GB to lay it off into the centre. Just getting down in the nick of time, the South African player, and you see the offside back just waiting in the goal deep to say we're not letting GB score as GB move further and further down the pool.
South Africa with a very nice drive there, not forcing the issue too hard and make sure the puck gets to a teammate. South Africa opting there to go for the inside with 45 seconds to go. Eleanor passing it to a forward, still staying down, support play. Back again and forward, quick flick, good of the player just staying down there. South Africa coming in numbers, but Great Britain stealing the puck again there, putting pressure back on South Africa, but it looks like Helen cleaning it out to the side, flinging it right into the middle to Eleanor. We're under pressure, get the puck and to GB defenders, and Great Britain slowly being pushed back by South Africa, applying the pressure with 10 seconds on the board. I think we can safely say that this is a draw. Lewis, a fantastic game by both teams scoring 2 goals in the first half and 1 goal each in the second half. A very evenly matched game.
Yes, a very evenly matched game indeed, and it's very interesting to see at the end there because South Africa executed a beautiful tactic. They'd been pegged so far back in their own end, and then they're in the position where they can get the subs in, and they were moving play around really, really nicely. And then you just see them say, right, we're fresh. We'll go to the far side of the pool and we'll start our drive down that end of the pool, because if we go down in that end, GB can't send their players out to sub because they're swimming so far away, and that's what allowed them to move so far down the pool. Couldn't quite speak about it at the time, but a good move coming off, and GB were just able to get the bodies back in time and stop the drive, because I was fearing the worst there as I could see the GB players subbing out of the water. But it's been a pleasure to have you, Jack, and I look forward to having you down here again. You can tell Han I was only joking when I said he was banned.
Thank you, Lewis. Thank you, South Africa, for watching. Baie dankie vir al die ondersteuners daar in Suid-Afrika. 'n Baie goeie wedstryd wat hierso afgespeel het vir ons, en ek dink ons kan baie trots wees op hierdie dames. Ek moet nou hardloop want ek is 'n chief ref by die baan langsaan, en ja, praat weer later met julle vandag. Totsiens.
Thank you very much. Lewis, I've just got next to you this. Yeah? I've just got next. Yeah, no, we'll do. So I don't know when it should only be like 2 hours. Is the music? Just tell me if the music's on outside. Music? Yeah, just tell me if the music's come on.